Welcome to another episode of Work Life Compass, where we explore the journeys of job seekers and immigrants in Canada. Welcome back to Work Life Compass, the podcast that helps you navigate your career, mental health, and everything in between. I'm your host, Maria Al Sayed, and today we're diving into some key topics that can help immigrants build successful careers in Canada, leveraging transferable skills and the importance of workplace diversity and inclusion. Our guest today is Sawri, who recently graduated with the Master in Industrial and Organizational Psychology from Adler University in Vancouver. Since moving to Canada from India in 2021, Sabri has gained valuable experience in HR consulting, organizational development, recruitment, and training. She's passionate about helping people identify their transferable skills and creating inclusive environments that support growth and opportunity for everyone. In this episode, Savri will share her tips on how immigrants can better position themselves for the Canadian job market and offer insights into building diverse and inclusive workplaces. If you're a job seeker and HR professional or just someone looking for inspiration, you're going to love today's episodes. Let's get started. Hello, Savri.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so grateful that you invited me on your podcast. It's been such a great opportunity for a lot of my colleagues who have told me about it. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to have you on the show. And you moved to Vancouver in August 2021 from India and have been navigating the job market here while gaining experience in HR consulting and recruitment. What has that journey been like for you so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I came from Mumbai in India in 2021 August. I came here preliminary for my master's degree in Adler University, as you mentioned before. So my degree is industrial and organizational psychology. So we are kind of, into this whole thing about looking for jobs and how to make your resume and what should the work environment be like and what the workplace should look like. So that is basically my degree. So it was really nice to be able to navigate that part while I was learning it. So I've been I've been looking for jobs now for about a few months, and it is quite hard to find something in this economic market. But I'm hopeful that I will find something in HR.
That is something I think many of our listeners, especially those who are immigrants, can relate to, and figuring out how to market your skills in a new country can feel very overwhelming. And how did you navigate that process and start to build your career here? Which actions you took?
I think one of the most important things for immigrants to know, like people who are international students like me, is to know like how to network. And I know that that word is like, nobody likes it, nobody likes networking, but it's very real in the Canadian workplace because most of the jobs here are given through referrals. So it's very rare that you will just come across like on Indeed or LinkedIn, and then you have applied your resume and they have like returned to you, because especially these days that's not the norm. The norm these days is to have someone who's working in the company kind of put the foot in the door for you, kind of mention you to the hiring manager or something like that. So it's really, really important to ask everyone in your network, each and every person, even if they're not really, not like your colleague or not your classmate, but you just know them because they're a friend of a friend. But make sure that you are asking everyone that, hey, like, this is my this is like my industry. Like for me, example, it's HR. So can you please keep an eye out for like a vacancy in your company? And that way it really does help because you at least get a few email IDs sent over to you, if not like, recommendations. So it's really helpful. Just make sure you're networking.
Absolutely. It's very, very important to network, to tell everybody in your network and around you too that I'm looking for that kind of job, and it's really works like that, that people will tell you that like we have a job opening and then you can apply, and if you're successful, so they will reach out to you, because many people apply for hundreds of jobs every single day on Indeed, on LinkedIn, Glassdoor, whatever, and it doesn't give result. And I heard people applying like for hundreds job and don't have any responded, because maybe someone from this company had friends or colleagues, previous colleagues, anybody who was better match for this job. And the struggle is to make yourself visible for employers, for HR managers. I think it's the biggest struggle to go there and reach out to them, to show that you're there and you have those skills. And just, it's amazing that we can have opportunity through referrals, and we, if we are a great match for the company, so we will proceed with the role. So it's definitely absolutely very, very important.
Yeah, you're so right. Like,
And did you have any experience with communicating with HR managers?
I didn't have much experience in Canada because I have been looking for jobs like, you know, in an HR field for a while. But like back in India, we were able to, you know, use the Indeed, or we have other websites like monster.com, and it is in India, or at least in a lot of other countries, it is kind of used for that. Like recruitment uses these, you know, these websites quite a bit. So you do get to talk with the HR managers, or like the people who call you for a telephonic interview. Well, but here it's kind of hard to do that, even as we mentioned, like without referral. So the couple of times that I have experienced talking to anybody in HR is through emails, and that's also through referrals. So when you get to that step where somebody is actually like referring you to the HR manager or to the hiring manager of that position, make sure that whatever you're writing in the email is, as you said previously, like gives you the highest visibility of how the skills that you have learned in your education or the experience that you've had, how it matches to this one particular job that you want to apply for. Because now that you have the email of the HR or the hiring manager, this is the best opportunity you can get to market yourself and how you are the best fit for this job. So just make sure that you're polite, you're highlighting everything that matches this job, and it's crisp and concise so that they don't have to waste a lot of time looking through everything. And make sure that your resume is like updated, because that's very important. Another tip I would give is like, do not miss out on cover letters, because cover letters these days are super important. Some of these like positions even mention like, if you don't give cover letter, we will not consider your resume, because there is such a big number of resumes being submitted every day. Even the recruiters only prefer the ones that are, you know, with cover letter, with a little extra step, a little extra effort from the candidate. So I would highly recommend doing those things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much. It's very valuable tips for the immigrants. And as you said that you're applying for jobs for a while, can you please share how this process look like for the job seekers, for newcomers to Canada? Because many people struggle to find out what exactly they have to do, like applying for the jobs on Indeed, or they are applying and it doesn't work. Most of them applying with their previous resume from back home, and it doesn't give any result. And how is the process look like? How did you prepare, and what was helpful for you when you started to apply for the jobs? How did you find out how to do that?
Absolutely. So I think because international students, like we come from such different backgrounds and different countries, the recruitment process or the recruitment behavior is different in every country. So for us, it was very normal in India to have like your picture on the resume, and to have like all the details that you have done, you know, or any projects you may have done. So our resumes back in India are quite long, because you mention everything, because you want the recruiting manager or the hiring manager to know that, okay, you have experience here or these skills are transferable here. But in Canada, I've learned is that it's really important to have a very small and concise resume where you mention just a few highlights of what you have done in every part of your work experience. And definitely certain things, like don't put your picture in, you don't have to mention like your gender or anything if you don't want to. So I think a really good way is to like take like a quick class or something, or some like online, because there are so many. That's what we did. We had free classes in Adler that taught us how to do resume building for Canada, and that taught us a lot of the differences between, like, our resumes from India and here. So for sure, make a little Google like search if you can, if there's any free resume building classes around. And that's definitely going to help you like start with your resume. At least once you have your resume, like that's similar to most Canadian resumes, you have to make sure that you're putting it on Indeed and LinkedIn. Those two are really good websites that are used here. And make sure that all of your details are like right in it, because sometimes companies have like weird requirements. And if you haven't mentioned, like they might say like, oh, we want a candidate who has experience in this particular software, and you may have experience in that, but you did not put it on Indeed. So they will not even consider you, because you need to put all the softwares you have experience in, all the skills you have it in, and then it's kind of like a match, because it's AI. So it's really important to put everything you have done in Indeed and in LinkedIn, but also make it concise. It was very helpful for us to have the resume building skill workshop, but it doesn't have to be a university. There are many online. So that's definitely like the big first step.
Absolutely. That is a great step and very important. I believe on the stage where people start to work on their resume, they start to have more understanding what employers need and how it should look, and it leads to another steps like they understand where to apply. Because when you create your first good resume, and your career counselor or employment counselor will tell you like, yes, it's good, and will tell you what to update, it will be for you obvious where to find the job and which exactly job will be the best for you. Because when you have previous experience, for example, as kitchen helper, as chef helper, and something in hospitality, and you go to apply for administrative assistant, so it's going to be a little bit difficult, because obvious for you is that you can start as the kitchen helper, but it's not always the case. Because even if you had all your experience in hospitality, so then you can rewrite your resume very smart and very careful, and you will be the great match for administrative assistant role. It's always about the resume. It's always about showing those skills that you have, those knowledges, and it's not about the positions you had before.
That's very true. I think another thing that's important, as you mentioned, is that like don't just have one resume that you submit to every kind of company. So it's very important that you keep changing it, and like even if you are pivoting from one career to another, whatever skills you have learned from your previous career or from your educational background can definitely be reframed for your new the new prospects that you're looking at. So constantly have like resumes that you can edit and like change for whatever company or industry that you're applying for, because like just having one resume does not work these days. You need to have like a few for different industries, and like a different way to approach every application, I think.
Absolutely. It's a great advice. Very important to have different resumes, because when you apply for administrative assistant and you have your resume everything about the hospitality, it will look ridiculous to the HR manager, and they will feel that you don't care where to apply. You just applying with the same resumes for every single position that you see that may match. So it's very very important to show the company that you care about them, you're really interested to work with them in this company in this role, and to share your skills, your knowledges with this company and show it to them. So it's very important. I know people who just came from abroad and who had their resume with the picture, as you said, because in India it's very common and everybody do that. In Canada, HR manager will reject you just because you have a picture in your resume, because Canada is very inclusive, and it's illegal to have a picture or to make any kind of judgment based on the picture. So that's why it will be rejected automatically, even it's very great professional.
Absolutely, so true. And as you were mentioning before, companies usually like people who put the extra effort. So the cover letter, that's where it's super important. Because if you are, as you said, like going from hospitality into admin, or even if you're going from finance into software, like whatever skills you are trying to pivot into a new career, you have the opportunity in the cover letter to explain yourself and to tell where you're coming from and how you would be a great asset to this particular team. Not just the company, because it's great to mention the company's values and what you like about them in the cover letter, but also mention why this team would be a great fit with you and what you could contribute to it. So we can't obviously write all that in the resume, right? So the cover letter is like a great way to just have like a personal kind of dialogue, and also mention a lot about yourself and how you can be a good fit. Cover letters are really really good in that way, especially for immigrants and especially for international students, because we have so much random experience, and then now we are trying to convert it into this Canadian experience, so it's easy to explain yourself on a cover letter.
Absolutely. And I would like to talk with you about the workplace diversity and inclusion. And it's one of the topics that you're
Absolutely.
passionate about is workplace diversity and inclusion.
Yes.
And can you share thoughts on the benefits of a diverse workforce and how Canadian employers can better support immigrants employees?
Oh, absolutely. I think it really depends on where you've come from, because in a lot of countries, diversity and inclusion means a lot of different things. A lot of countries are like, they don't have many foreigners. So even for them, like, they're like, oh, I don't know what that means. Like, in our country we all like looked the same, or we were all the same, so it didn't really understand the difference. But when you come to Canada, especially Vancouver or BC or even Toronto, all these big cities have like such a wide diversity of people, like coming from such different corners of the world, that it can get really really confusing as to how to tackle it. And a lot of employers, like who are just starting to tackle it, kind of get really, they get intimidated. They're like, oh, anything I do is wrong, or but what is the point of having a diverse environment? How is that going to help the bottom line? But a lot of research actually shows that there are so many benefits to workplace diversity and inclusion. Like, number one, as you can tell, is just different perspectives bring so much innovation and creativity. That's why some of the best high performing teams are often made from members who are from different backgrounds or different like countries even. And it's an incredible asset to any company, is to have like a really good innovative and creative team. Also, if your company has like really good diversity and inclusion like committee in place, or like some things that they do like every month or every week, then your employees are going to be more satisfied and your retention is going to be better. They're not going to leave because they feel valued and they feel like, oh, I have loyalty to this company. So it's definitely like it actually does affect your bottom line, even if it doesn't feel like it and it might feel intimidative. Um, Also, like another great thing about DNI is how much it can increase your company's reputation. Because another thing people kind of, forget is that when there are prospective candidates looking at an employee or like a company or an employer or like a particular team, even they always look at reviews. And on the reviews, if like on Glassdoor or even Indeed, if there's anything that says, oh, they're not very good with diversity, or they're not very like diverse or inclusion friendly, people are hesitant to even apply, because there is such a huge like immigrant population in Canada or even in Vancouver. So it's going to be hard to get really really good talent. You might miss out on that just because your company doesn't have a good reputation for DNI. So it's really important. These are just like small benefits that I've mentioned now, but there are so many more, and there's so much research on it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Such as an important point, and having the representation and leadership can make a huge difference. And what are some best practices you've seen for fostering an inclusive workplace that truly supports immigrant employees? Do you have any examples?
Oh, there are a lot of like, I think the first basic thing is to definitely have a clear strategy for your diversity and inclusion. Like what kind of goals do you want to have for your company's DNI? What is the objective? How much like budget can you keep aside for some certain activities? So having like a plan or like some kind of first step is very important for this like strategic point. And then obviously you have to do the training. So there's quite a lot of unconscious bias and like just like cultural misunderstandings that can happen. So it's very important to educate and train employees, not just like lower level, but like on all levels, even management, about first of all sensitivity training, and second of all, be aware of your biases, and third, why it's important to have diverse teams and how it's actually helping our company. Because sometimes trainings can just become like a like a chore that people do, like, okay, fine, it's a training, I did it. But like if you don't actually emphasize on why it's important and what profits it's giving to your company and to your team, that actually helps in retaining that information and behaviors. Also, there's so many other ways that you can have a more inclusive environment. Just like a small step of like having open door policies or open communication channels where people can be anonymous and leave something. If they have any complaints or something like that, they can actually mention it, and it kind of creates a safe place like for employees to just have like their ideas and whatever concerns they may have be in like an open environment is always a good idea. So those are like just some small things that you can do. Doesn't even have to change the policy or something. If you're like a new manager and trying to uh, tackle your diverse team, just make sure that you have a really good open communication and opportunities for your team to talk about things and feel safe, even if it might feel like it's a conflict. Actually, it leads to conflict resolution. So those are just some tips.
Absolutely. I really like your attitude to this topic because it's very important as you're going to be a future HR. So it's very important to
Yes.
care about those kind of things, to be very inclusive, like to understand employees' needs and to be in their shoes,
Mhm.
to try to make the workplace better place for them, because we spend at work more than we spend with our family. We spend a lot of time, and it's very
Yeah.
important to be sure that you're in safe place, that um, you're valued, and your company understand you and trying to do the best for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that. And I have another question for you that I ask all my guests. And what motivated you to join Work Life Compass podcast?
Oh, it was a great motivation. Was actually a great referral from one of your previous guests, and her name is Nikita, and she and I are Adler graduates, and she was like, "Oh, you have to talk to Maria. Like, this is such a great place for us to share our experiences and actually get like." Others to get help and like maybe help them because it can be like a really lonely time when you're new in a country like Canada and you're trying to figure out your career paths, and this is such a great opportunity to just listen to someone else like, oh, they had similar struggles as me, okay, I'm not alone, so what can I do, what did they do, maybe I'll try those tips. So it's really really like I felt like that was such a great thing to do for everyone that's new to Canada. So this was a great referral. I absolutely jumped on the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for our listeners, you see how referrals works because we have such a long wait list.
Yes,
So that
exactly.
that is amazing. And what final advice would you give to our listeners, job seekers, immigrants?
Mhm. I think the best like lessons that I have learned from all this are just basically don't get demotivated. Always be on a learning journey. Just be aware that okay, this is a new thing for me. I'm trying my best. I'm learning everything at once, and so don't feel demotivated if things don't go your way immediately, but constantly be on a learning journey. Like ask questions to your peers, ask questions to your professors, to your managers, like just ask questions so that you have a better understanding of how the structures and systems work in Canada, because that can be like a very difficult thing to understand without asking questions, because our systems back home are very different and systems here are very different. Like something as simple as like, how am I supposed to do my taxes? Because if you get a job here you have to do taxes, but it's kind of like nobody talks about it
Yeah.
because as an immigrant how are you supposed to know that? So it's just like always be learning constantly, just be resilient, be with yourself. Like I know it's really really hard, but know that this is not your alone journey. Like everyone is with you, and people are learning just the way you are. So it's okay to make some mistakes, but also constantly try your best. Keep keep uh, keep at it. I think that's very important even for get looking for jobs, because if you don't keep at it you will probably lose out on a lot of opportunities. But if you just try, like with networking, with applying, with whatever you're trying your best, like even reframing your resume, whatever you're doing, every step is going to count when you finally get the job of your dreams. So it's really really important that you don't lose motivation and keep learning.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's very valuable tips, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences and insights with us today. And your advices and strategies will definitely help a lot of listeners, and especially those who are navigating the Canadian job market.
I thank you so much, because that really makes me feel good, because I got an opportunity to share some of my learnings. So I really hope that it helps people.
That is amazing. Thank you very much. And to our listeners, I hope you found today's episode helpful and feel more confident about your own career path. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Work Life Compass and connect with Sawri on LinkedIn. Her information will be on the description on the platforms, and it will be on my LinkedIn page when podcast will be published, and share it with anyone who might be benefit from today's conversation. It was Maria El Sayed, and this is Work Life Compass, your guide to navigating work, life, and everything in between. Stay strong and stay positive, and we'll see you in the next episode. This is Maria Al Sayed signing off from Work Life Compass. Take care and keep moving forward.